What's up, everyone? Thank you for listening to another episode of the Sawyer Brothers Show. Please be sure to follow and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and then follow our podcast accounts and SDI accounts on all socials. We post daily on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. We appreciate the support and listens greatly. What's up, guys? First episode in a while. Haven't recorded an episode since November. So been about 4 months or so since we last recorded. Obviously, we've thought a lot about the podcast in that time period, but we've just been super busy with all different other, things in our lives, between our personal lives and work stuff, coaching stuff. Obviously, hockey season's been in full effect for the last 4 or 5 months and starting to slow down and wrap up as we get closer to the spring and summer. But just all good stuff in our lives, but just very busy. It's one of those things where time management is obviously a critical part of life. You have to structure your schedule in a way where you are able to do what you want to do. And along with the time management aspect of it, it's your focus management, your emotion management, your effort management. It's these different things on, where are you going to want to put your free time? What do you want to prioritize over other things? I can speak for myself here, and I'll touch on, kind of some updates on what Griff and I have thoughts on moving forward for the podcast and some ideas and whatnot. But for me, Q4, so October, November, December, was 3 of the busiest months of my work life that I've pretty much ever experienced. I'm a financial advisor, so I am on a daily basis basically managing investment accounts for my clients. A lot of stuff gets done in the last few months of the year as people are, wrapping up the calendar year, and they're getting stuff organized with their investments and their finances, and along with the current clients that I'm servicing, I have goals every year as far as, bringing on new clients and, meeting with clients and just all kinds of performance goals and all these different things. And, for me, those goals I accomplished, my biggest ones last year, and they pretty much came down to December teens and December 20s. Like it was late in the year, just with the nature of how, things progress throughout the year. So all good stuff, but I prioritized that for a period of time, and then January, February comes around, and it's like, okay, well, now work is still busy, obviously, for me personally, but it's like, okay, now I'm in the heart of the hockey season, and I don't want to take time away or effort and emotion and focus away from the hockey season, because obviously the year's 12 months long, and hockey goes pretty much all 12 months, but the bulk and the heart of it is, January, February, and into March. So, when we're prioritizing what we're doing in our lives, this podcast was never intended to be a primary in the sense that we're choosing that over something else in our lives. This was just something extra in our life, and that's pretty much, what you've seen in the last, 4 months with us just not posting. So like I said, we have a lot of ideas, and we're excited to get back in the swing of somewhat of a regular recording schedule. And I'll touch on some of that as we go throughout this episode. But like I said, all good stuff. Griff is actually on vacation right now. Again, busy life, just, kind of prioritizing things. But, with the high school hockey season ending a few days ago on Saturday, for me, that's kind of like an internal clock that I kind of use every year. It's like, hockey season starts in November fully, even though youth hockey and, whatnot starts in August and September, and then NHL starts in October. But for me, it's like, November to March. Outside of that, again, I'm around hockey. I'm doing different things, but, the bulk of it is that November to March. So season ended over the weekend, and I'm like, all right, want to get back in the swing of this and make this another priority moving forward, because, spring, summer, into the fall, that's whenever other things can be worked on and focused on and all that good stuff. So my plan for today's episode, it's just me, obviously. I don't want to go into too many things, but I'll kind of touch on a little bit of our plan moving forward with the podcast. I'll touch a little bit on our SDI programs for the summer. Obviously, with it being March, we're in full planning mode to get things ready for that. And then I'll also touch on the ReState tournament, which is a COVID-based 2020 Michigan High School Hockey State Tournament that I'm trying to put together. So I'll touch on all that, and we'll kind of go from there. So to start, I'll just touch on the podcast and some of the thoughts that Griff and I have had, and, kind of some ideas on where we think it'll be moving forward and all that. So, again, this podcast, we've enjoyed doing it. We've pretty much posted on somewhat of a regular schedule for the last year. Pretty much October of 2023 through November of 2024. So about a year, and we did 33 episodes. So, pretty close to, every other week. Obviously a little bit more, than every other week. And it's one of those things where we were just managing it throughout our life and, all the different things that we're doing that I already touched on. And we've enjoyed it, but it's like anything else. You have to get into the swing of things, and there's a lot of work that goes into it behind the scenes. It is not just like sitting up here, talking about whatever we want to talk about, click end, and it's over. It's like, you've got to get all this stuff set up with the audio, the mic. You've got to record it. Well, you've got to figure out what you're going to talk about. You got to kind of get a plan of that. You got to obviously record it. You got to edit the video. You got to edit the audio. You got to edit the clips for social media. It's like, obviously, it's not that difficult. It's just tedious, and the time adds up. And it's like, if it's not something that you're really focused on doing, it takes a lot out of you. And there are times whenever, obviously, it goes into the fact of what I just said in the opening part about just, having other priorities and being busy, and this just wasn't a priority. So as far as what we think moving forward, obviously we like doing it. We like, putting it together and having this as a way to speak about things and, get our thoughts out there and talk to other people. And it's fun for us, and it's, we've gotten feedback that, people enjoy listening, and whether it's social media clips or the episodes or whatever it is. But kind of some ideas that we have moving forward is this podcast was not created to be just a hockey conversation at all times. Beyond that, it was not created in our minds to just be an NHL conversation at all times. We naturally talk about hockey a lot. We naturally talk about the NHL a lot because those are huge pieces of who we are. Like the hockey aspect of our lives is just, pretty much every day I am either involved with hockey in some way. I'm watching it. I'm talking to people about it. I'm thinking about it. Like, I'm a hockey nerd, and Griff's the same way. With saying all that, we're always involved with watching the NHL and listening to the stuff for the NHL, but the NHL it's the biggest league in the world, obviously. So it's like there's so many things that cover the NHL. There's so many podcasts and so many shows and all that good stuff, which we take part in listening to all that and being a fan and watching it. But one of our biggest interests of hockey is the younger levels, whether it's high school hockey primarily or youth hockey. Those are two aspects of hockey that we don't think are actually covered enough. And they're two of the things that we love maybe even more to talk about than the NHL. To prove my point, like I said earlier, the high school state championships and semis were this past weekend. I went to both Division II semis on Thursday. I went to both Division I semis on Friday night. I watched the two Division III games on Friday during the day from my TV while I was working, and then I went to the D2 game Saturday morning, and then watched highlights of the D3 final and the D1 final on Saturday. And Griff went with me on Friday night and went with me Saturday morning, and it's like we're going there. We're not really on our phones. We're watching high school hockey that are not teams that we've coached. They're not. There were some players that we knew in the games. It's not a team we played for, obviously. Like, it was just random teams essentially, and we loved it. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, if we can sit there and enjoy that much, we should talk about that, and we should spread that passion for that specific level of hockey, as opposed to just talking about the NHL and focusing on the NHL. So that'll be a primary focus moving forward. Talking about different things that involve high school hockey, involve youth hockey, and then obviously the overlap and the intersection of that with whatever else we're interested in talking about in our lives. Whether it's just coaching as a whole, not not just hockey, but coaching other sports. Maybe it's leadership based, maybe it's business, nursing based from Griff, whatever it is. We have all these different interests. A lot of times they overlap with hockey in some way, and I think that would be, something that we can focus on moving forward. And when I talked about that with Griff the other day, I sent him a text with some ideas, and he's like basically echoed every single thing that I had on the same thought. So we're on the same page with that. So I'm not going to sit here and say that we're going to post every week or every other week or anything, because that's just not how that's just not a priority of ours to be on that schedule, because there's so many things going on always. But we do want to be posting, more regularly than just every 4 months or anything like that, like we just did. And along with that, like we want to interview people. There's a lot of guys that, whether they're coaches that I know or guys that we grew up with or players, and just pick their brains about things and talked with them. There's a lot of different things. Like I said, the NHL is covered by so many people that, you can turn on a variety of shows and listen to day in the life, insights from NHL players, coaches, all that stuff. And that's awesome. Years ago when I was a young kid, like, that was the beginning of seeing those insights. Where nowadays with social media, there is all that. And I think we can focus on those other levels and bring a whole new perspective, because, youth coaches, guys that are dealing with kids every day, and I don't just mean, young kids, whether they're 5 years old and they're first starting playing hockey, or they're high school kids, or they're junior hockey players or whatever. A lot of those guys, the players and the coaches, are guys that have the purest love and passion for the game. Like I said about me and Griff. So again, that'll be a focus moving forward. I want to be able to sit down and have conversations with various coaches and guys that I think would be interesting to speak to, and then interesting to record a podcast with, because, ultimately it's one of those things where, they say you need to treat people how you want to be treated. When it comes to something like this, it's like, record a podcast that you would want to listen to, talk about things that you would be interested in listening to. So for me, I'd be interested if there was other things about, high school hockey, youth hockey, junior hockey, college hockey, whatever it may be. I would tune in for that. And I've obviously listened to other guys that do those things. So, but I do think it's kind of an untapped market in a way, and I think we can focus on that moving forward. So that'll definitely be something to look forward to. I don't have necessarily, like I said, a set schedule of what's next, but there's a lot of ideas in the works, and I'll leave it at that for that portion of all this. So to move on from just plans for the podcast, I wanted to give an update on plans for the summer for SDI. So we are now getting ready for our 11th summer. Crazy to believe. Our first summer was back in 2015. Last year we celebrated our 10th summer. We're heading into our 11th this year in 2025. So pretty crazy to think about. We've now crossed, I think it's 650 all-time players across our different leagues and camps and private sessions and all the different things that we've done, workouts, if we go all the way back to the beginning of SDI, but all these different things. For 2025, we have our 4-on-4 league again. So this will be, I don't even know what year the 4-on-4, seven, I think, 8 maybe. And the 4-on-4 is, that is the thing that people talk about the most every year. Years ago, when we were still doing our camps and our private sessions and our 4-on-4 league, before Griff and I were working full time and, balancing that with being adults, our only thing every day was just like getting up and going to the rink and coaching and working out pretty much. And then, school. Other than that, it was, we lived different lives. And anyways, when we transitioned to the next phase of our life of, being, working adults and all that good stuff, we slowed down on the camps and the private sessions and all that. And I imagine there will be involvement of camps and those things moving forward. But for right now, we're just going to focus on the league aspect of all of it. And what I was going to mention on the 4-on-4 is when we made that transition, kind of not necessarily slowing down, but just shifting to another aspect of SDI, of going from the camps and all the on-ice stuff to just the leagues. Whenever we did that, the first, the main thing all the players and parents were saying was like, we know you guys are busy, we know you've got all these things going on, and it's a lot, but can you please keep the 4-on-4 league going? And that was never something that we were going to give up anyways. But the 4-on-4, my point is like, in the summer, there is the way that we explain it, and it's the way that I've had it on the website for years and that I've explained it to people, and really it's what we use to kind of build the 4-on-4 is it is not a drop-in sticks and pucks session where you go to the rink and there is no organization at all, but it is also not the real regular season that a kid is going to experience, where they're playing 5-on-5 and their coach is telling them where they should be going and they're giving them feedback and they're competing 110%. That is not the case. The 4-on-4 was created to combine the best of both of those worlds. It's so that when you're in the summer, you don't have crazy structure and you don't have to go all out and feel like you're under pressure from your coaches, and worse than that, under pressure from your parents. You don't have to deal with all that. You just get to play hockey, and it's positionless. It's 4-on-4. Forward, D, it doesn't matter. You're just playing hockey. You're playing with guys and girls of different teams and levels and all that. You combine all that with the summer, where you're not also experiencing just total chaos where you go to sticks and pucks or drop in and you have to draw sticks at center ice to see what team you're on, and there's way too many kids on the ice. We combine the two best parts of both of those different areas, meet in the middle somewhere, and that's the 4-on-4. The people that have I will say, disappointing experience over the years, whether it's a player, the 4-on-4 is not perfect, but it's not normally a player that has an issue with anything. The select few people that have had complaints, you can call them, over the years on the 4-on-4 are parents that just had the wrong expectations. Again, the 4-on-4, we are not going to coach your kid. We are not going to go tell them where to stand or where they should be going or how they should win a battle or where they should shoot the puck from. We don't care. They have had enough of that throughout the regular season from September to March, and then in the spring season in April and May. June, July, August, I firmly believe, and Griff is on the same page with me on that, that is where you focus on individual skill development within reason. Not every day on the ice, but you can do some of it. And then you just have fun. And that's what the 4-on-4 is for. We are not trying to keep everyone at the pace of play that they're going to experience in the real season. With saying all that, anyone that knows me and Griff knows how competitive we are and know how serious we take hockey and pretty much how serious we take everything in our life. In the real season, you better go hard. Like, you need to compete, go crazy. You need to focus. You need to listen to your coaches. You need to play like you're playing for something bigger every single day in the regular season and the playoffs and all that stuff. But in the summer, focus on your individual skills, have fun, play with friends that you don't normally play with new kids. I think two of the biggest things, probably the two biggest things that we constantly hear feedback on from parents at the end of the summer is, one, I'm so happy my kid got to play with so-and-so down the street or so-and-so from another team or whatever, because, you don't play with everyone. I grew up, I played Trenton travel hockey with my hometown buddies, and then I went and played AAA for a bit. And then in the summer and the spring, we weren't playing in camps and leagues like this because it's different in today's world, but as much as we are now at least. But you're out there, you're skating with other teams, you're playing street hockey, you're doing these things with kids that you're not with the rest of the season. So that's something that parents and players always really appreciate. And then the second thing is they just have fun and build confidence. They don't have to worry that a coach is overlooking every move that they're making or everything that they're doing and every play that they're making. We're there to make sure that the kids are following the rules of the league, that they are being disciplined, and they're not just, running around and not, taking shifts that are too long or being mean to other kids. We're there to make sure that that's all set up, and to give general feedback if they ask something about hockey, or to be a positive role model. It is not there. We are not there to coach a 1-2-2 forecheck or to make sure that they're competing and giving it 110%. We want every kid to try hard. It's a waste of time if you're just out there hanging out every game. But chill. Just play within reason. Again, balance the summer chaos of no structure versus the intense moments of the real season. And you combine those two and balance those two out, and that's where the 4-on-4 comes into play. Now, the other thing we're doing this summer that we're excited about is we are bringing back the Elite League for this summer. So the Elite League was started in 2023. Last year, with the Trenton rink being shut down for the summer, we didn't do it last year. But we're back again this year. So the 4-on-4 league is for youth players, anyone from Squirt, Pee Wee, Bantam, high school, where the Elite League is for the next level above. So juniors, college, pro, whatever it is. There'll be some higher level high school guys and midget guys approved. But we're back with the Elite League. We have Dante DePonio helping us out again with that this year. Dante grew up in Trenton, played for Trenton, played for various AAA teams, played juniors. Now he plays Division III NCAA college hockey. So Dante's great guy, great role model for younger kids, and then just a good guy overall to work with on this stuff because he cares about the league. He cares about his guys. He wants to provide an environment with us for the Elite League for himself as a hockey player, but then also for the guys that are playing in it. So the Elite League, you take away some of that stuff that I just listed on the that I listed for the 4-on-4. It's way more intense. It's 5-on-5. It's still not the real season, obviously, but it is not as loose as the 4-on-4 for the younger kids. The Elite League is for players that are still playing hockey. Obviously, if you're playing juniors, college, or pro, you are playing hockey at a high level and you're trying to stay in shape in the summer and compete against guys that are also trying to do the same thing as you. So we're really looking forward to that as well. The 4-on-4 will be starting a little bit earlier than the Elite League just because, the players in the Elite League are coming home from school and coming home from their junior teams and their pro teams and all these different things. So we wait till June for that, but the 4-on-4 will start in May, and we will be playing at Trenton again. So lots of good stuff on that. Registration is open for both of those leagues. We have a large registration amount already. The 4-on-4, we've been open for a week, and we're 2/3 of the way full already. So, and then obviously, a couple months to get that, to get all that in order. So, Elite League, similar situation, a solid amount of registrants, a ton of pre-registrants, a lot of guys that are interested, but the difference between the Elite League is their parents aren't managing their schedules. It's up to the players. So they don't register 3 months in advance the way a 10-year-old's parents does. So a little different with that, but we're really excited for both leagues. We'll have more stuff coming in about both of those. And again, 11 years. This will be our 11th summer. It's just crazy. With the exception of COVID. COVID was the most random year because COVID, obviously, rinks were shut down and whatnot. So really that year was some smaller stuff. Griff was going down to Sylvania throughout the summer to run practices and skates because Sylvania, being in Ohio, they were able to have some of their rinks open. So just weird times. But other than that, going from Trenton at our parents' garage, and then we went to the Trenton rink for 1 year, and then went to Lincoln Park for years, and then we went to again, Griffin did that COVID summer with Sylvania, and then we've been back at Trenton for the last few. So just really excited for this upcoming summer, and we'll have more stuff on that in future episodes as well. All right, so the last segment of this episode, I will be touching on a pretty unique scenario, a pretty unique project that I've been working on. It is the Michigan High School Hockey ReState Tournament. As we all remember, in March of 2020, 5 years ago, COVID shut down the world. Including in that was the Michigan high school hockey season that was ended, ironically, 5 years ago today on March 12th, 2020. Semis, finals were set to be played. Semis was going to start that Thursday night and then going through Friday, and the finals were all going to be on Saturday. Same schedule they follow now. Hours before the D2 semis were to be played, they canceled the rest of the season. So with that being said, those 12 teams between the three divisions never got to finish their season. Seniors never got to finish their hockey career. Juniors, sophomores, freshmen, they never got to see what was going to happen that season that they were in. Coaches obviously involved, parents, families, all of it. Just a total disappointment. And at the time, obviously there's other parts going on in the world that impacted that. It's not like it was just canceled for no reason. But I hear from guys all the time, and as someone who I was a coach of Riverview Gabriel Richard at the time, I was an assistant with them, and we're gearing up to play on Friday night or Friday morning, and Thursday it's done. And it's like, I have talked to guys from our team and from the Trenton team and from other teams over the years, because between GR and Trenton, I had coached pretty much every single player on those teams at some point in their career, whether it was on the Trenton 2002 travel team I had coached, whether it was our SDI programs in the summer, whatever it was, I had coached a ton of them. I remember having a conversation with guys right after that season ended, and we're all at home and everything, and saying, like, I will do whatever I can someday to try to make this tournament happen. Whether it's months from right now, year from right now, whatever. I knew at the time I had promised them that I would at some point try to do it. I don't know how I didn't know how that was going to go, obviously. A year ago, I'm sitting at CompuWare or USA Hockey Arena for the 2024 state championships, and I'm watching them. I'm there for the semis again, similar to this year. I go to the semis, I go to the finals, and I'm watching them, and I'm sitting there at the rink, and I'm watching all this stuff going on. It's like, you've got the players on the ice, the coaches, you got families all around the rink, you've got community members, city residents, students, all of it. And it's just like, it's just so sad that there is a specific group of 12 teams, 250 players and 50 coaches that were not given an opportunity to fully experience that. I just feel so bad for the players, primarily. I feel bad for the coaches, myself included, but it all comes down to the players. I was fortunate enough to play 3 years of high school hockey. I made it to the state championship my senior year. I ended up winning that as a senior, and it was just like, we got to experience all that stuff. We got to experience the whole season. We got to experience the semis in full normal fashion. We experienced the final, and when we won, it was normal. there's a crowd of people there. We got to leave and go to a restaurant and celebrate with our families and friends and everything, and then got to go to a party with our teammates and all that stuff that winning entails, and these kids just didn't get to do that. So I'm sitting there and I'm like looking around, and I am just thinking, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe now's the time to put something together, because the freshmen on that 2020 team were graduating in the class in 2023. So if you were a freshman and you were, 15, 16 years old, whatever, in 2020, you were a senior in 2023. And so I'm sitting there a year ago, and I'm like, all right, they're all out of high school. They're either playing juniors, playing college, maybe some are playing pro somewhere, or they're not playing hockey at all. But they're all out of high school. They're all at least 18, obviously. They're all like 19 or so at this point. 19 to 23, 24, whatever. And it's like, okay, maybe now's the time. Because if you wait too long, maybe they're all out of shape and they're busy. They'll have families, and all kinds of different things. At least at this point, they're still in their early 20s. And it's like, yeah, they're busy. They got priorities, but they're only 5 years out of playing hockey competitively, and some guys still play. So I'm like, all right, let's put something together, and I built the format. I went through all the rosters of that year, built an Excel spreadsheet, and got all 12 teams, all their rosters, everything lined up, built the Instagram, and just didn't do anything with it. And I'm like, all right, I'll touch on it again later this year, because I was like, all right, it'll be summer of 2025. So I did all that, like I said, March of 2024. I give it, 6 months or so, and I occasionally am thinking about it. I'm like, all right, I just got to post and reach out to guys. And then finally December comes around. I'm like, I've thought about it too many times. I've made so many notes. I've promised guys that I would put it together. So I put it out on Instagram, and within like a week, we had over 100 submissions on our interest form, a ton of text messages. All these things are reaching out. And like the submissions on the interest form, I had like, say your name, your team, are you still playing now or whatever? And, I put on there, why do you want to play? And as expected, it's just the messages were just very, very heartfelt. They're emotional. There's like guys that are like, I have thought about this and wondered what would have happened from the day that was canceled. Guys are like, I was robbed of experiencing a real hockey season. I had thought about this since I was a little kid. All the stuff that if I were a player, I can relate to. And it goes back to what I said earlier in the episode. It's like, treat people how you want to be treated. Do things that you can do for others that you would want to be done towards you. And, I guess make a tournament that you'd want to play in. So put that on Instagram, got all these messages, gave it a couple months, would post, post a handful of times and talk to the Trenton rink, because it's like, okay, well, where are we going to do this? And Trenton, my relationships with the guys there, with the rink management, they're happy to host it in July. And I kind of figured that July would be a good time, because you're past high school graduation, which although these guys aren't graduating, maybe their siblings are. And it'd be a commitment. You've got 12 teams. If we do this, you have 12 teams from all across the state, and guys that are living all across the state, and some even out all around the country, to travel for a weekend to Trenton. That's a big commitment. So we're not for sure that it's happening, but I'm putting it out there. I posted another video of it today to try and just spark it. And I'll probably give it, through mid-April to have a for sure, answer. Are we moving forward? Are we not? Because, the ice, the planning, the finances, sponsorships, travel for these kids, or for these men now, there's all kinds of different commitments with it. So we need to make sure that it's all aligned. But again, it's just, I'm excited because I like I said, I just feel so bad for the players involved, and it won't be the real thing. Unfortunately, we can't just actually go back in time and go to March 2020 and just play it as is. We can't do that, but I figure if we can do something, there's some form of closure. And one of the other things that kids kept saying on the interest form was, I would love to be able to just be with my teammates again. And I think that's probably what some of the players would want more than the chance to win a state championship 5 years later. It's to see guys they haven't seen in a while and play hockey again. So the format that we structured was every team would play at least 2 games. The Division I, Division II, Division III alignments would still be the same. The semi games would be exactly how they were supposed to be in 2020. The winners would obviously go to the state championship, and the losers would play in a consolation game. That way, everyone at least plays 2 games. We could do it at Trenton because there's 2 sheets of ice. They're happy to have it. We can fit it in over a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And, so like I said, very unique situation. It's not for sure, but I promised I would do whatever I can, and we have a ton of interest. So over the next few weeks, there'll be see what sparks of it, and if there's a big push to move forward with it, and if there is, we will be playing in that this summer. So, like I said, overall, just wanted to get back out there on this episode. Just wanted to kind of recap where we've been, talk about some plans for the podcast moving forward, and then other things, obviously SDI, and then this ReState tournament. So thank you guys for listening. We will be posting sometime in the near future. So thank you guys, and talk to you guys soon.